Alex Preddy, and I'm going to show you the video, and I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. In this video, I want you to watch this guy right here, the guy in the gray, grabs Alex's gun out of his waistband right here. Did you see it? Did you see it? I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to zoom in. Right there. Let's slow it down. Right here. That officer grabbed Alex Preddy's legal firearm, which I carry around a fucking firearm all the time. Grabbed it out of his waistband and he accidentally discharged his firearm. And that freaked everybody else out and they fucking murdered him. And how fucking dare this administration post this shit on X, saying that Alex approached him with a 9mm handgun and he violently resisted and he wanted to inflict maximum damage on these officers. This is shit that fucking Iran does. Do you understand that? I am a licensed firearm owner, and how fucking dare you? How fucking dare you do this to your own citizens? And how dare you, MAGA, fucking support this shit? They fucked up and they murdered that kid. There are going to be charges. Kristi Noem and every single ICE officer is going to prison come the fucking midterms. And every single fucking person watching this is not gonna rest. You murdered an American citizen and then you posted on your propaganda machine trying to make it seem like he was a fucking violent individual. That is what authoritarian nations do.
Wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Welcome, my PBN family. Welcome. Another episode of Old School Cops. This is going to be breaking news. We put together the squad real quick. We got Sid, we got my boy Shane, and we got a civilian. We got Mitch. We added Mitch, a civilian, to the conversation. Brings a different perspective. 246. So 246, we got 60 years of law enforcement experience. We got different experiences. So it's a pretty diverse group of individuals. We're talking about the latest shooting. Everybody talking about the latest shooting. And I just received this particular video. And if this is exactly what actually happened, then this is definitely not a justified shooting. You got a law enforcement guy with, now I'm just learning, 6 to 8 weeks of training, grab a gun, puts his finger in the trigger, and as an AD accidentally uses it, has a discharge. And then that's set off a chain of events where the other officers, the other agents start using deadly force. It's just bad, all the way bad to me. There's a lot of videos out. I'm still looking at a bunch of videos. This was the latest video. And if this is exactly what it is, then this is definitely not a justified use of deadly force in my eyes. Go ahead, Seth. I'll let you give your assessment.
I guess I appreciate the emotional rant from whoever this guy the video is. I don't know how accurate this is. I've watched 2 different videos. This is the first I've heard of the agent who took the firearm off discharging it. Because it is this is kind of odd. If he would have negligently discharged it, he doesn't even flinch. I mean, typically if you accidentally fired a gun, you're going to react like, oh crap, I discharged this firearm accidentally. He just keeps going back to the car. So I don't know how much of that is true. If it is, then obviously we don't need to discuss anything any further. It's all bad if that part is true. But I'm going to say, and I'll get back on here and walk it out. From everything that I've heard, I don't believe that is true, that the agent accidentally discharged it. So what I'm struggling with is if he took the firearm off, why all of these shots? Why didn't he, if it's the 3 of us and Mitch, if we locate a firearm, you do the right thing and say gun. But if one of us retrieves it and takes it off, we also articulate that, right? And it's weird too. Why do you take this firearm off of somebody first instead of just getting them into custody first, then removing the firearm? But I think that's what Shane was saying. This is where the lack of training. I don't know. Maybe I was trained differently. And you guys, I know you guys got a bunch of experience to correct me. we've gotten guns off of people, and we always make sure that we have them cuffed and secured. Then we remove the firearm.
Correct.
Once we have them under control.
Correct. Absolutely right, Sid. I got to piggyback with what you're saying. Usually on an arrest and you have a suspect prone or pinned down to the ground, it looked like there was 7 to 1. I'm going to grab one arm. You're going to grab one arm.
Mm-hmm.
Another going to grab one leg. The other's going to grab the other leg. Someone might be holding the back of the head. You know, wherever the head goes, the body goes. So you have 7 officers on one guy. So if you hear a gun discharge, someone's going to say, gun. We're all going to look around and see where the gun's at. That's the first thing. Hey, he got a gun. He got a gun. Another point that you brought out that was a good point says that the moment we see a suspect, we want to get him arrested. There is not, it looked like a 7 to 9, if my count is right, of officers on one person. So think about this. Let's walk this down. If we have a suspect on the ground, let's say in a prone position, if you got 7, it's like a tackle. Football guy with the football, we're all on him. Where is the gun sound? Where is the person seeing, hey, there's a gun? Where? How? I just don't understand how. I've been in a lot of situations. I've been in a lot of shootings where I've known there was a gun. We've heard a gun. We got the suspect under control. Been through it quite a few times. I didn't see any control. I didn't see any tactics. I see a pal, a guy with a football, and you got everybody jumped on him. I don't see any. I see somebody runs away with a gun. Okay. It could be an agent. It could be somebody. I see somebody run away with a gun. Where is the gunshots coming from? If it's 8 or 9 guys on top of this guy, how are you getting a chance to get a shot off? Was he shot a negligent shot? Was there another gun he had on him? Just does not make sense at all. It doesn't make sense. It's egregious. This is egregious, Joe. And said,
yeah, I totally agree with you, man. And for the sake of validating these videos, because we got AI and
right,
a lot of people throw fake videos out. This is just one video of many videos. So we're given different scenarios. We talked about if that was it, if the agent did pull and have an accidental discharge, we are saying completely wrong, everything wrong about it. But if it's not, we still have problems with it. Like said, like, why are we still shooting? Like, what are we shooting like that for? You got 9 people around, and I've been in a situation like this, and the guy was on the ground, and I seen a gun in his rear right pocket, and I yelled, "Gun, rear right pocket," and then I said, "I got it," and I retrieved the gun while the officers that were at the top of the individual, the suspect, they was trying to rip his arms to the back to cuff him, and it was a lot of communication going on. I got the gun. Okay, I got it. You grab his arm. What I seen here, everybody, you had 9 people, 9 agents. I didn't see no handcuffing techniques. I just seen people just wailing and just beating the hell out of them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, cuff the dude. Like, it's 9 of y'all. Correct. Nobody puts cuffs on this dude. Like, I just didn't see nothing that said tactics. It's just crazy. Like,
another point, you have a lead person giving commands. You have a lead in your second. The lead is giving commands, and I'm backing you up. Sed's backing me up. Tony's backing me up. I didn't see that. I just see a pile-on, shots fired, then the guy's going. I'm hearing like 8 or 9 shots. It doesn't make sense. I'm trying to figure this thing out tactically, and it doesn't work. I don't at all.
I counted 11 after the initial gun, and then the guys on the ground, I counted
11 shots.
Yes, that I'm going to try to look at this from both perspectives. I always do, but man, after watching it, when then I got the message from Joe, I go, yeah, right. This looks bad, and I'm just trying to think of how do they verbalize this being justified again. I also heard this, and I don't know if you guys heard anything different, that the firearm that we saw the agent walking away with was a firearm of one of another agents that came out of his holster. I don't know how true that was, but it was not the same firearm that was recovered. That's just something I heard. I don't know if there's any truth to that or not, if you guys have any other information about
that. Okay.
When we walked through the incident, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, Tone jumped in, and
Hey, Tone, how
everybody,
you doing, brother?
he's
What's
been
up,
on the
Tom?
job for many years. Retired guy, started his law enforcement and corrections. He did a lot of units, detective, sergeant, gang investigator. Tone, go ahead and chime in on what you think about this incident. I want to give you an opportunity
Yeah.
since you jumped in a little late.
Thanks, Joe. What's up, Shane? What's up, Sad?
What's up, brother?
All right. Me being in that position in law enforcement and dealing with crowd control, dealing with protesters, from what I seen, I wouldn't have even engaged in those individuals.
Mm.
There is no law against filming someone. They weren't in close proximity. It looked like they were the aggressors. They initiated all the contact. I would have paid them no time, no attention whatsoever. In fact, allegedly, they were there for someone who supposed to have domestic violence and a record and a firearm and all that stuff. That's who I'm worried about, who I'm concerned. What it looks like was they not only were the aggressors, but they started committing assault on innocent people.
Right.
The two innocent people, and then they took it to another level to where they shoved the woman to the ground. He was trying to like shield and protect the woman, and then they were like, you ever see those Wild Kingdom situations when they attack the animal and they were in a group and they were in on them and they were just like vultures and they were tearing them apart and beating them up.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, everything I saw as it related to policing, law enforcement, and training, it did not equate to what I've been through. And also, from what I was, watching and listening through the other professionals in law enforcement as this is going through the media, that normally the training would be 6 months. But the Trump administration, for these purposes alone, just to get immigrants off the streets, they reduced the training to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough to learn anything in 6 weeks.
Yeah, 100% right. And you brought up something that I didn't even realize. I wish I'd have known this before I did my Fox News hit today. If you realize with these incidents that are playing out with ICE, they're not only have the training to deal with these type of protests. And us as cops, I've worked protests before. You get the briefing beforehand, and don't you notice the briefing beforehand is like, okay, we're dealing with a very emotional crowd. So your standard of how you enforce, you got a lot more patience. You're giving a lot more leeway than you probably would normally give because you got a bunch of people, sometimes thousands of people, and the first thing you don't want to do is just go in and just start beating up or grabbing somebody, throwing them to the ground for something that you probably wouldn't tolerate on a regular call or the regular. So that is telling me, right, the way these guys are responding, they got no experience dealing with large crowds. They got no experience dealing with street enforcement. Policing the border is so different than policing the community.
Right.
And these guys are out here trying to police the community with no experience and no training. And now that we're finding out 6 to 8 weeks, nah, that's definitely not enough. I want to bring in the civilian, right? I think Seth calls him the banker.
The banker. So yes,
I want to bring in
yes,
Mitch. Mitch, you got a question for the panel, the law enforcement guys?
yeah. This question and thoughts. I would piggyback on all of you guys' assessment of the situation. I agree with it. It looks very unprofessional. It looks like a lot of training has not been conducted for these ICE agents. But more importantly, our law enforcement has now become so political. So all the questions that we have, just in the cases Renee Good, they declined to investigate. They declined to be transparent, right? Christy Nome, who's the director of ICE, has already taken a position to incriminate victims instead of opening an investigation. So all of these questions that we have that we're guessing at, we're making assumptions based on what we see. We probably will never get to a real conclusion because law enforcement and obviously it's the climate here in this country has now become so politically involved that we won't get some of the answers that we're asking for. So my question to you guys is, what you think the state of law enforcement is going to look like if we continue down this path?
I think me personally, right? I think like I just told, and that's a good question because the Fox News anchor asked me the exact same question, and I think that it's hurting law enforcement, and ICE is not going to catch any grief for this, right? Well, you know who's going to catch a lot of grief for this? The street guy, the guy that runs the beat, the local law enforcement guy, because the community looks at law enforcement as a whole. They don't really separate us, and that's sad because I told the Fox, I said, ICE is causing a lot of havoc and they leave. And who's left to deal with the protests? Who's left to deal with angry mobs of people?
We
It's
are.
the city police, is us. We're the ones there. Then you got the chiefs of police and sheriffs. They're saying, like, yo, this is not us. We don't agree with it. What are we going to do? Like, I think it really is hurting law enforcement. And I want to see this career really turn around, but I think it's becoming worse and worse as we go. I mean, we just had this shooting. Now we just got another shooting. Like it just keeps setting us back. It just keeps pushing that flagpole, that goalpost back.
Mhm.
I actually have a slight disagreement with you because I just from being on a bunch of different panels and listening to the pulse of people, and I'm sure that Tony, all you guys have heard it, they go, no, Cedric, ICE is not law enforcement. They are making a big differentiate between us and going, no, they're not allowed to do the things you do. So even if they have some dislike from us, it seems like I've heard more people saying, F the feds, F DOJ. I haven't really heard too much smoke from local and state because you have sheriff's departments and people saying, hey, you know what? We our hands are kind of tied. They're operating federally and we're not on board with this. And I think there are a bunch of civilians that go, yeah, because like what we were talking about last week, guys, we're not jumping out chain with the mask and all that.
Right.
We're dealing with, gang members and things like that. People are able to see our names, our badge numbers, all that. So I think they're smart enough to differentiate ICE with local and state law enforcement. So
If
And
you
said,
see,
I hope
if you
you're
see
right.
the number of arrests that occurred during these protests, you might kind of change your mind because that what you're saying doesn't represent what happens at the protest. Because ICE leaves right after the shooting, ICE is gone. People are getting riled up. They might say, yeah, I get fuck ICE because that's what they're saying. But the damage that ICE is causing is now forcing us to come in and have to affect these arrests, to have to make these arrests. So I wish it would say, I wish the cop would say, yo, that's not us as ICE. So once I calm down, that's not what's happening. A lot of protests, a lot of people getting arrested after ICE leave. Because if the sentiment was it's just ICE, when they leave, then you would think we would have some type of community bond and say, look, I'm with you guys. I police you guys. They're the outsiders. And that's just not happening. Protests is still erupting. A lot of violence is still taking place. And it's just bad that, the street cop is left to deal with that shit. And that's what I don't like. It's really pissing off the street cops because you want to go out and pretty much say, that's really ICE. That's not us. You know how we police. You know the rapport that we build. I would hate to be the cop, right? That because I had a beat and I had a real good rapport with my beat, right? I was a street cop. ICE came in there and caused havoc, and then they leave. Now I got to be stuck telling these people, right? Yeah, they are law enforcement because I remember times where I was getting blamed for shit that I ain't had nothing to do with other states away. When it comes down to law enforcement and people are angry, whatever they do, we get the brunt and end of it. I remember somebody was like, "Oh, you want to put a plunge in my ass?" I was like, "Dude, I was in high school when that happened. I wasn't even a cop yet." It just when people see law enforcement, bro, they want to tag all of us. You ever hear? Oh, so why didn't you stop them? Why didn't you stop? If you're a good cop and the bad cop is being a bad cop, why did you stop? I heard that 1,000 times. Like I can't
I
even.
agree. I think the civilians just paint all law enforcement with the same brush. And I wish we could hear more from law enforcement, guys that's actually on the ground to see what kind of interactions they're having. Are civilians distinguishing them differently from ICE, or are they grouping them all at once? I wish we had a pulse around that.
I tell you, that's a good point, Mitch. I tell you, I really wish if what said is saying is true, I really hope so because I feel that if ICE continues to keep going the way it's going, You're going to have vigilante justice. Like these people
Yeah.
are tired, they're upset, they're on medication. They may paint us all with one brush. You're gonna have people. You ever heard the expression "people going postal"? Sometimes, we had this thing in New York. You're in the post office, and you're upset, and maybe you got
Yeah.
fired. He comes back in and lays out everyone. Everyone. Now, if this continues to be shown on TV, ICE agents shooting, hurting people, and it's constant. Remember, we've seen this constantly, constantly, constantly. What's to say that some people ain't gonna come out and snap? I don't want that to happen. I think if vigilante justice takes over, then martial law is going to take in. This whole thing is going to turn upside down. I really hope and pray that Cedric's right, that they're not painting us with one big brush. But on the other side, Mitch, sometimes they look at the badge and it says all of y'all MFS. It's all of y'all. They don't know how to differentiate. And if they don't differentiate, we're in some serious trouble. There's more of them than there's us.
Yeah. 100%. Tone.
Yeah, you know, we're looking. They look at us to protect them. That's what we do, right? Now, if we're in the communities and we're holding back protesters while ICE is doing everything illegal, assaulting people, snatching people out of cars, doing hit and runs and dragging them down the street, and we're holding the crowds back and letting them do that, it's like they're going to consider us willing participants and players of the game. If we shut this down now and everybody goes home, then I think we can reestablish the relationship between policing, local policing, law enforcement, and the community. But if this drags on, it's not going to be a good look.
Yo, you know what I seen at a protest, and it was just so and I would hate to have been that cop. I would hate any of us to have to work these assignments. I seen the front line filled with uniformed street community cops from that community, and I seen ICE behind them, and they was just shooting tear gas past the officers, hitting and I'm like, can you imagine? You don't even believe in what these guys doing, but you're the front of the line, and you're walking, move, and ICE is behind you, and they're shooting tear gas past you. I just don't see how people are gonna go, oh, even though you was on the line and you was you wasn't whatever the fuck you was doing, you was a part of that, but I know it wasn't you. I just don't see me knowing the community, coming from the community. I don't see it, bro. I don't see them saying, yeah, I get it. That wasn't y'all. I see them all. When ICE gets in trouble, who do they call? They call the city cops. Nothing but city cops comes in, because there's going to be more city cops than actual ICE on a particular scene. They're going to get there first. You might have two vehicles filled with ICE, but the rest is every time I've seen videos, when ICE gets in trouble, it's nothing but city cops coming to the rescue.
Yeah, it's multiple units.
Yeah.
To show their even lack of experience or training. And remember, Joe, I mentioned this before. Why would ICE agents be downwind and throwing chemical agents into the crowds, and then it's blowing back at them, and they're coughing and moving around?
Mm-hmm.
Who does that? That's something it's a part of your training, and
Yes.
in law enforcement.
Yeah.
Why would you harm yourself?
Right. Exactly.
So
it just don't make sense, man.
I got something for the fellas. Because let's look at the flip side to this. You got the gentleman that tragically lost his life. I don't know what he's doing in the middle of the street. We don't know what happens before the video comes on, but similar to this good, you have the agents contacting this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know everybody's saying, oh, if you're 2A, this has nothing to do with 2A, because they didn't know that the guy was armed. They found that out later. All of us on this panel, I'm assuming that we can conceal carry.
Right. Yes.
Anytime that we are involved in a situation, we bring a firearm to it. When last time I was stopped was 2017. I don't know if you guys have been stopped. Carrying concealed, what do you say? Officer so-and-so, this is my credentials, and I'm armed. So him being a citizen who can conceal carry, where is his responsibility of engaging? You're now putting yourself in a situation, regardless if you be there now, and you're armed, and now you're dealing with armed agents. That's to me, that's just a recipe for something that's going to go bad. Because now when it goes to the detention, we can argue if you guys think the detention was lawful or not, right? But now when it goes to the detention, now when they start to try to get the guy into custody, they feel a gun, and now we have an OIS to that.
Mhm.
Where
Okay.
Well,
I got a
think-
question.
I
Go ahead,
think
Tom.
this
In
relates to that.
2017, you said law enforcement approached you and you gave them notice that you were armed, you got concealed carry, whatever.
right.
Why did you tell them that? First of all, why did they stop you?
I was speeding.
Okay. So you were in violation of the law,
Correct.
right? Now you conceal carry and you committed no crime. Why would I just jump out and say, hey, I'm concealed carrying? I'm just saying, and then it happened so fast. He broke no law and he was just swarmed by bees.
From what we know, he did,
you know,
right? We don't know
right?
why.
I mean,
We
me,
don't know why they're connected.
I just know, right? In a protest, I wouldn't be out with a weapon. But at the same time, he's exercising his Second Amendment right to actually be out with a weapon. He committed no crime, and there's the end result.
If I could add to that as well, I would say it's not only on the responsibility of the civilian, but also law enforcement. They should know what are the gun rights in these different cities that they're operating in. If you know that you have concealed carry, right? I think that's where, when you're debriefing in the morning, debriefing as you're communicating throughout, your time in that city,
Mhm.
I think your agents should know, okay, this is a heavy concealed carry city, and let's make sure that we're following protocol, and we should be asking the right questions. Do
Mhm.
you have a weapon on your person? If you get to that part of detaining someone,
Mhm.
but I just think saying that someone should just disclose that they're concealed carrying a pistol or a weapon without really understanding how quickly these things escalate. I just don't know if he had a chance to do that.
Mhm. I think against a training here in the state of Georgia, you don't have to reveal that you conceal carry. That's just the statewide mandate. You don't have to conceal at all. So many of my traffic stops, I've known suspects that have weapons. I've seen it myself. Hey, I'll grab a hold of the weapon until the traffic stop is over. I'll ask a question. It's up to them to reveal it or not to reveal it. But I have to go back on what said and Tony just touched on. If you at a protest, I wouldn't carry a weapon either. I just wouldn't. It just don't look right, because if something goes down, again, this is what happened. If I'm at a protest, although it's your Second Amendment right to do so, I would not engage in the process doing so based on the totality of everything, knowing how law enforcement can think about it, what they may assume or what have you. That's something I wouldn't do. But he was in his right to carry that weapon. He didn't have to do so. And again, it's on to each individual. Me personally, I probably wouldn't have done it. But here in the state of Georgia, you don't have to reveal if you have a concealed carry weapons license or you're armed. You don't have to reveal it at all. So it would depend, I guess. It'll go from state to state regarding that.
And according to what news reports, that in that state you don't have to as well. And I get what you're saying, said, and I don't. I guess the problem I have with this incident and what you said is I went into law enforcement when I was 20 years and 6 months. I actually turned 21 in the police academy. And I went through, I was a deputy sheriff, I was a correction officer, I was a police officer, I did international policing. And every training that I've ever had, you as the officer was held to that higher standard. You have to get it right. An untrained civilian does not have to get it right. He just have to follow the law. So you get it. Common sense would say, let people know you got a firearm. But did he have to? It was up to the agents, the way they approached him. I don't even think it was even any time given. It was so fast. I didn't even know. They was like, no, you wasn't under arrest. Like, I didn't even see it under arrest. Like, I didn't hear nobody saying, and I listened to several different videos. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Yeah, I just seen it just get swarmed, and you just started getting pepper sprayed. You got beat up. I just hold, my mind is to hold the trained professional. He's accountable, bro. Like he's accountable. Do we want people to follow a certain protocol with us to make our job easier? Yes. Have I stopped people who had firearms and didn't tell me, but I see the bulge? Yes, I've seen it. But it's up to me to conduct myself as a professional, as the person who's trained, and say, listen, I see a weapon. Do you have a? Are you a police officer? You got a
So
concealed weapons carry? Yeah, yeah, I do. Don't reach for your back because if you do, I'm going to start shooting. I don't know you. You don't know me. Just where's your concealed weapon? Where's your weapons permit in the front? You mind if I take your gun until we figure out, make sure you license? Yeah, yeah, no problem. Keep your hands where I can see him. Remove the gun and then okay, give it back. Like there's certain protocols that I have to do to not only protect myself but to protect that person. I
Have,
was
have you seen the front view of the video? Because it paints a little different story. So there's an agent who has a beanie on who shoves the female down.
right.
After the female gets shoved down, he jumped. The man who unfortunately lost his life.
Yeah,
Then
Alex.
he engages. Alex engages that officer.
Right,
It's kind of
right.
hard to see. Doesn't look like he shoves him or anything, but he definitely gets up in his face because you see the agent do this, and he immediately pepper sprays him, and
Yeah.
then the,
I
the
I didn't
it
see that.
yeah.
You know what I
Then
seen?
after that, he's
Right. I seen a guy holding a camera and his other hand was up. And what he did was he tried to block the agent from actually assaulting
hitting.
the female. He pretty
Yes.
much had the camera. Was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. That
So
that that's not an aggressive. That's not an aggressive towards me the way I gotta
can
use force.
honestly, if we were in a use of force with someone else, we have to be honest.
Mhm.
If someone jumped in between and got in our face and did what he did, that person would get the use of force as well. Can we agree to that? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter who they are. If they intervene in us trying to effect an arrest on someone else or whatever was going on, and someone else now puts themselves in that, they're subjected to now going into custody, right?
No, I get what you're saying, right? Right. That's
I
what I'm
don't,
saying
I
because
don't think, I think it was just total mess how it went down. But I'm saying, I want you guys to think of this. Now, he is now putting himself in this situation and he's armed. And just a week ago, fellas, was it a week or 2 weeks ago? We just seen, well, the week before they shot the guy with the shovel.
right.
And then the week before that was Miss Good. So you see what has happened about 3 weeks in a row, and now you then put yourself in the middle of that.
you're still putting the
I'm not,
emphasis
I'm not,
on
I'm not
Alex.
like I'm just putting fault. I'm not putting fault on him, but I'm saying your
That's what I'm
arm
thinking.
is healed. You now jump in the middle of them, and I don't like how they shoved that woman down. I mean, I think that you should be able to handle yourself better, fellas. I mean, you guys see it looked like they forearm shivered her. She went right to the ground. He then jumps in the agent's face. He's wrong for that. Anyway,
I didn't say he wasn't. I didn't say he wasn't wrong. I'm saying the way they responded, I think they was wrong. I worked the project the majority of my career. I know Tone did. I know Shane did. I don't know what your area you work, but when you go inside and there's a conflict, there's always somebody coming out. Wait, that's my cousin. Wait, that's my cousin. And if I had, right, because I've been in this particular situation, if I had the amount of support of other officers that they had, there's no, I'm like, yo, man, she's under arrest or she's not. If you don't get out my face, you're gonna get arrested. And then now, because I could have had somebody, Tone, go grab her, and I'm gonna lock this motherfucker if he don't get out my face. Yo, get out my face. And all right, it was none of that. He moved in to protect her. He got hit with the mace or the pepper ball. The struggle. It was like it happened so fast. Like what kind of offense that we even given that initial one? The initial one. Are we going after a murderer? We going after somebody? What you just described a whole bunch of actions that you didn't even agree with. Why are they attacking her in the first place? What kind of charge? A misdemeanor at best? Misdemeanor at best? And then you got the guy coming. Tone, how many times? Shane, how many times you get the friend, you get the cousin? Yo, that's my. And then you got a bunch of them. Me and you was in the incident. Remember at the gas station with the guy with the gun? right? I had the same situation. The guy, I said, yo, Tone, grab him. I said, yo, if you don't get out my face, I'm gonna lock you up. You ain't going. And I directed my attention toward that person. Tone went and got the person. They was wilding out. I mean, you got to be able to communicate as a cop. I didn't see no communication as law enforcement there. I just seen physical contact. Physical contact. Correct me if I'm wrong. Tone, Shane, like did y'all? Mhm. That would have been it right there.
Right.
That would have been. We had an incident. Me and Tone had an incident with a guy at a gas station. This all of a sudden his friends come over. Yo, that's my cousin. I had the guy in cuffs. Tone pulled up. I was like, Tone, grab him right there. Tone went over to grab him. I said, yo, get out my face, or you going too. What, this and that. There was no yo, we talking about what kind of charge are we talking about? That we always talk, we like that use words like the totality of the circumstances, right? What kind of charge that we are going after this girl for? What are we doing? We ICE agents. We looking for dangerous immigrants, right? Is she one, or is she just a protester that's just being a pain in the ass to us right now? Like, what are we really doing right now?
Right.
Could it be
Okay, so
something as simple as obstruction?
okay, so we talking about a misdemeanor. So does that, right? That type of a response, but I can't communicate that. She wasn't going nowhere. You got a guy with a phone and he got his hands up like this, and he's getting in the way of the officers trying to beat the hell out of the girl. Because that's what it was. I don't understand why you couldn't put in place, if you was trying to lock her up, you could have placed her in custody and didn't need that amount of force, period. And then
I'm gonna say the same thing you said, Joe. Right. Right. hmm but let's say, Tony, let's let's piggyback off what said. Let's say it is obstruction. You detain one, you detain the other. That easy. You detain them.
But let me ask y'all
It's
something. Does this, right? A phone and a hands up, right? Without even giving any verbal commands on what you do, does that require you to get a pepper balled in the face, thrown to the ground, and just start getting stomped out? Like I don't like
I
what
would say no, but I'm not, this isn't the easy way out, fellas. I don't know what happened in the video before the video comes on. I mean, that's important, right? That what led up to all that, because the video comes on and you got people standing in the street.
right?
They just standing in the street minding their own business. I mean, because then ICE just happens to be there, or are they intentionally trying to interfere with whatever ICE is doing? Is that reasonable for ICE? Is it reasonable to think that they're there to interfere with what
of
ICE is
course.
doing?
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
They didn't interfere. They're protesting. Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Right, but like I say all the time, when we start looking at use of force, and we all been on use of force and the use of force situations, right? The force is based on their current resistance or the fight that the individual's giving at the time. So regardless of what happened prior, if I'm going to lock her up and her friend, whoever, is in the way and he steps in the way with a camera in his hand, he's recording, and his other hand, like he's trying to get in the way of me arrest, and I got the whole squad right there, all that many people. Yo, Shane, grab her. Yo, if you don't move, I'm locking you up. Get out of my way. I didn't see no commands given. I just seen bow, grab them, bow, and they just start beating the hell out of them. I just don't. The level of force, right, is always 100% dictated on the amount of resistance and the fight a person's giving you. And having your hands up with a camera doesn't warrant you getting pepper sprayed this close, getting thrown to the ground, and getting your ass beat. I just said, help me understand that. I
Well,
value your viewpoint,
I mean,
but I'm not
so when
understanding that type of
when it
force.
comes to the use of force, I mean, I don't know what level they can use pepper spray on. We can say that he did interfere with him.
Definitely, definitely,
They,
I
they go
agree with
hands
that.
on. They go hands on with him. He's on the ground.
Don't I gotta get? If I'm gonna arrest you, right? And we all been here, right?
He's on the ground. He's on the ground. He's resisting. He's
I
obviously
don't.
resisting when he's on the ground, right?
Okay, listen, Tone, Shane, help me out here. When he's on the ground, could you see anything that he was doing, or you seen like 10 motherfuckers just stomping the shit. I couldn't even tell you what the fuck he was doing on the ground.
Yeah.
He was getting his ass beat.
Yeah.
He was getting. I couldn't tell you one thing that he did because he was surrounded by agents and he was getting his ass tuned up, like beat down. Cuff. Did you see a cuffing technique?
You guys need to watch the front video. The video.
You seen a cuffing technique, Shane?
No, I didn't see any.
No,
You seen somebody grab somebody's arm, or you seen somebody swing on anybody?
They didn't have him under control. I mean, he wasn't even. Think of this: you had 7 guys trying to get him down, and he wasn't even down yet. He was kind of bent over. This is how that agent takes the firearm. He's not even on the ground yet. So he's clearly, regardless of how, I think it was excessive, but he's clearly resisting.
I'm not saying,
opinion,
right?
He's clearly resisting.
I'm not saying he wasn't, right? All I'm saying is with the amount of officers, right, that was there, I know it could be handled a lot better than it was handled. And then for you to say, right, it was excessive, you're saying that the force was wrong out the gate.
Yes, because it takes the 4 of us. It takes the 4 of us to take a person into custody. A team takedown. Tony, you got the legs. I got one arm. Shane, you got the other arm. Once we take him down under control, guess what? You're going to go and you're going to do a lateral head pin.
Brian just joined the show.
Officers is ridiculous because you saw what happened. People are trying to grab. They can't do anything. The other officers, they're useless.
Brian, hey, you there? Brian just joined.
One of the
What's going on, fellas?
with something.
Hey guys, Brian just joined us. Say
okay, Shane, hold on. I think Ryan just joined.
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan's here.
Okay.
What's going on, fellas? I can't stick around long, but it's good to see you guys. I want to be brief. I think personally, I think it's going to be excessive, and I think it's going to be excessive because they, in a sense, created an exigent circumstance for them to have to utilize the lethal force due to their poor tactics. I mean, you have all these different people on the ground. Nobody knows what's going on. So I could understand how a shot may have been fired because if they believe the guy has a gun on him, they hear a gunshot go off. They don't know who it came from. For all they know, it could be the suspect. So they respond because they think there's the threat, but they put themselves in that position that forced them to utilize that deadly force. So I think it was probably going to be excessive force just due to their inability to control him with the amount of people they had, and them not be able to affect that arrest, prevent that escape, or overcome that resistance with utilizing that reasonable force because they created exigency. That's my personal opinion.
Said, you got any objections to what Ryan said?
No. He and I talked about that earlier, so I'm talking about different things, right? I said that from the beginning. I think what they did is a total mess. Ryan and I talked about this earlier, and we talked about that officer created jeopardy.
Hey, Ryan.
What up?
What's your last name, bro? Because this don't sound like Ryan.
I'm fair. I am fair.
Joe, you're right about. You're right.
Is this Ryan the governor? Is this Ryan the governor? Governor Ryan?
Look, I'm fair. I am fair and impartial.
This is Mitch. I've never heard this Ryan before.
No, I call it how it is.
Mitch,
I call it how it is. I'm fair and impartial, but people don't want to give me that credit.
I gave you all the credit in the world. That's the best assessment I ever heard you give, bro.
Let me introduce you a guy.
That was heads down.
Governor Ryan.
Yes. Governor Ryan.
I never heard this version.